Hey, what's up, everybody? Today I want to talk about AUSL expansion. It's likely this year, I would say, that we're going to see two more expansion teams added. Well, in 2027, I would say it's decently likely. The league is, kind of exploded in popularity compared to the 2025 season. And also, college softball has a ton of crazy talent coming up into hopefully the AUSL. So it's kind of a good moment to add a couple more teams, if not more. I'm going to say six teams and, say what, my top locations I prefer are and maybe some reasons why. Anyways, before we get too into this video, I just want to say, hey, welcome to Spycer Sports. We don't take ads from gambling platforms here, and we also don't use generative AI, mostly covering Chicago sports. So, if you want to like, comment, subscribe, that stuff really helps us out here. So, let's just get into the video. Starting off, I just want to go off of some words that the commissioner has had about expansion. She said that two locations they are looking at that they want in the future is Atlanta and then somewhere in California. So that's where I'm going to start is Atlanta as the first city. I think it's kind of a no-brainer why you would want a pro sports team in Atlanta. Maybe not for hockey, but for everything else, it makes sense. It is like the city in the South that isn't in Florida or Texas. It drags in a lot of other, like Alabama, it's harder to find a market. Mississippi, Tennessee a little bit, but Tennessee, you can get Memphis, you can get Nashville, you can do stuff there. But Atlanta, that's going to pull in your Alabama, it's going to pull in your Mississippi, and Atlanta itself is pretty large. So having Atlanta as a destination just is a no-brainer. And I think it's probably next up so long as everything works out between the city of Atlanta and the AUSL. I think Atlanta's pretty hard-locked, yes. And for a city in California, this is going to be a little odd, but personally, I'm recommending Sacramento. It puts it a little closer to Salt Lake City and Portland compared to somewhere like Los Angeles or San Diego or even San Francisco. Not only that, but when Oakland lost the A's to Las Vegas, the A's are currently in Sacramento. And there's kind of this looming, like, what's the point? Because the A's don't plan to stay, which is kind of a shame for Sacramento because even the terrible, terrible Sacramento Kings have pretty good fans. Like, Sacramento sports fans are legit and they really don't have teams to back it up. So I think giving them an AUSL team could be a good option. It's an underlooked market, and I think that's where AUSL can thrive here, is maybe finding these markets that are underutilized, like Oklahoma City, like the Carolinas, which feels weird because they have teams in everything but MLB, I think, but it's just, why do you not have an MLB team? Going to Utah, going to Portland, Austin instead of Dallas or Houston or San Antonio. So I think Sacramento is a sleeper pick. I don't think that's where they would go. I think they would prefer like a San Jose, San Diego, or, your classics, San Francisco, Los Angeles. But I think Sacramento should be somewhere in the conversation. Not just for, it being a sports market that is a little underused, but still dedicated. But also just for the fact that it is closer to your two Western teams, which will help cut down travel cost, which is part of a concern I have for AUSL. It's a smaller league, and right now Portland and Chicago are not close to their competitors. And Carolina is also pretty out of the way, and Atlanta gives them a team to face that's near them, which helps both of those theoretical teams. And then Sacramento would help have this triangle out west. And then you have the weird, like, Great Plains, Austin, Oklahoma City, with Chicago just on its own, which brings me into my four other teams I'm going to suggest. Don't get me wrong. The Bandits Talons rivalry is already here. It's going to be a huge storyline next year. I can already see it. But Chicago is not near anyone else. And even after the additions of Sacramento and Atlanta, would not be near anyone else. Coincidentally, and quite nicely, one of the Brewers owners invested in the AUSL, which, don't get me wrong, the MLB as a whole has, but that is the only owner who has individually invested in the AUSL. So let's give Milwaukee a team. Bit of a smaller market, but it gives the state of Wisconsin a team. And if you know anything about pro sports, when you have, any moment for Illinois and Wisconsin to hate each other, they will take it. Any Chicago sports game, you're going to hear fuck Green Bay. That's just how it is. It doesn't matter who we're playing against. It's going to happen. Even if it's like NHL, we're playing against the Blues, our most heated rival in NHL, we're going to say fuck Green Bay. That's what it is. And Cubs fans hate the Brewers. It just works. So let's bring that energy back and keep this rivalry going. I really enjoy the rivalry. And it would help both these teams by having less travel time, especially when they play against each other. And next, this one is something I struggled with thinking of, was I wanted a team a little further east. And initially I was like, New York should have a team, or at least the area. Maybe the league isn't ready to, hit New York City yet. So maybe instead we go New Jersey and we have another New Jersey team because, it's kind of nice seeing New Jersey teams. But I think we're missing Buffalo is where I'm getting at. It puts it a little closer to Chicago, Milwaukee in terms of travel. The distance between them and Carolina isn't too terribly much further. Has another northern team, and I think if we can get fans like Bills fans or Sabres fans, if we can get them to latch on to AUSL, I think that is a massive bump to the league, because Buffalo sports fans are genuinely insane. So I think if we can get that type of energy into AUSL, I think that is a massive boost to the league, and it adds another team that isn't too terribly far from Chicago, helping reduce the travel expenditures and things like that, and gives us another option that won't be... I'll talk about my issues with the heat issue and the season ending issues with that in another video. Kind of an issue, especially with the broadcast of the championship. I do want to talk about it, but I'll save that for another day. Now for the last two, and I'll give an honorable mention here. Starting off with a bit of a cop-out, I want to say New England as a concept. Okay, it could be Boston, could be somewhere else in Massachusetts. I have on my map marked Hartford, Connecticut. Realistically, it could be any of those. It could be Maine. Not really, but probably Hartford, Connecticut, or Boston, Massachusetts. Those are two we're really looking at here, if we're being realistic about this. I mean, maybe down the road we could even get both, but I think this adds to, if we add Buffalo, another team in that north and east region, and it's not too terribly far from Chicago, Milwaukee. It's not terrible distance from North Carolina. So if we do split teams into divisions, we could go East and West conference style, and just divide it by the Mississippi, especially with my second destination being Kansas City, Kansas or Missouri, whichever one would rather have it, I guess. I could see an instant rivalry here between Oklahoma City and Kansas City. It's a great middle point for everyone, really. You are a little closer to, the Austin area and OKC and Chicago. So it's a little more central for everyone, kind of as a, it could be pre-baked into the schedule that you take a trip to Kansas City like if you're Portland and you're going to play the Blaze later in the season, you stop in Kansas City before you go to the Blaze. Like you have your home stand, Kansas City, Blaze, maybe you hit up another Eastern team, and then you either go Chicago, OKC, or back to Kansas City on your way back to Portland to play more home games. I think Kansas City is a nice, like, turnpike, boom, right in the middle of the country. You stop here between home stands while you cross the country. I think it works well for that logistically. And also, Kansas City is kind of a growing sports market. I would like to see NBA or WNBA also look into expanding to Kansas City. Maybe NHL. Maybe hockey's, I don't think that big there. I know they have, I think it's AHL. It might be IHL. But they do have, they're an affiliate of Seattle Kraken, which is my honorable mention. Seattle. Not to segue out of Kansas City too bad, but yeah, I think Kansas City logistically is a good choice. Central in the country. If you're going north to south, east to west at the same time, it's a great spot to stop between your road trips. But yeah, honorable mention, it's got to be Seattle. The only issue with it is we need more teams that are like a connective fiber between the East and the Western teams. That's the biggest issue I see. And then on top of that, we already have Portland, and I don't think those two should be exclusive of each other. I think Seattle is a great sports market and realistically should have a team, and should probably have a team before Hartford, Connecticut, or Milwaukee, if we're being honest. Should have had one before OKC. Completely honest there. Portland and Seattle would naturally just have a great rivalry, and I think that's what we need more of. It appears, I may be wrong, but it appears in 2027, the main rivalry storyline we're going to see is Bandits Talons, who's going to fight, who's going to get that, if we see them in the championship again, are the Talons going to be allowed to three-peat, or the Bandits finally going to, take that next step to actually beat the Talons in the championship? That's what we're looking at. I think Seattle would, just by their mere existence, add another storyline that incorporates teams that aren't Salt Lake City and Chicago. That's why they have my honorable mention. I think they are a stronger option, personally, than Milwaukee. I think they're a stronger option than Buffalo, than Hartford. The only reason I put those ahead is because logistically, Chicago is on an island along with Carolina. So putting those teams out east helps bring those two near other teams. So if we do split it in conferences, you massively cut down on travel expenses and travel time, and you can even add more games that way because there's going to be less, overnight traveling and things like that, because you're just going to be closer to a potential opponent, and that can be factored into the schedule to pack in more games and hopefully sell more tickets. That's how I see it. I might be wrong. I'm not an expert in this. I think AUSL genuinely has one of, if not the best commissioner in professional sports here in the United States. So, this is all in her hands and her team and, the investors and everyone in AUSL. I hope that they make the right choice here. I do believe the league is ready to expand. Those are my suggestions for 6 to 8 locations for teams. Again, personal rankings, I'm putting Seattle way over. I'm putting them way over Hartford. I'm putting them over Buffalo. I think Kansas City logistically is such a great option. I think they have the fan base there that can do it. If not, maybe Lincoln or Omaha would be better than Lincoln. What am I talking about? But yeah, I think Seattle's a very strong option. I think Milwaukee, money-wise, and then you could rope in a rivalry there. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Anyways, tell me what you think down below. What cities you would love to see get expansion teams, whether or not it's your hometown, just maybe a city you don't like and you just want to sling things at them. I left Florida out of here. I think Orlando would be a wonderful choice. It's just, are we ready for Orlando? Are we ready for Miami? Just kind of like how I don't know if the league is ready for New York City. I don't know if they're ready for Los Angeles. Anyways, tell me what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Remember, no AI used here, no gambling ads, all that fun stuff. Anyways, thank you so much. See you next time.